Well, here's my Sovos 7-inch portable digital TV, digital and analog TV, which has just arrived off of eBay. I bought it second-hand or used for a silly price. The main reason why I bought this analog TV kit was because it has an AV input, which allows me to use it as a monitor. Now, I use this at motor races, for example, and standing at ground level, you find that all you can take pictures of is a wire fence or a safety fence. So I screw this onto the top of a 3-meter pole and hang it over the fence so that I don't get any safety barriers in the way. Now, although you can put this camera up in the air and twist the viewfinder downwards so you can look at it from underneath, 3 meters is so far away that you can't really see what's going on. So what I want to do is to bring this AV cable out of here down to here at eye level so that I can monitor what's going on with the camera. This particular model is what I would class as an old model, and I will explain what I mean when we have a look what's inside here. We'll just take the contents out, bearing in mind this is not original packing because this has already been used and somebody's put it back into the original packaging and are selling it on to me. As you can see, it is a very compact, light little unit with the connections on the side here and some simple buttons across the front. Now, I've already unpacked this once and I know that the remote control is missing from this package, so we're going to have to sort that out before I can go too far ahead and use it as a TV. Some of the major functions, like the electronic programming guide, are only available via the remote control. I'd already seen this and tested this as an on-the-shelf item at Maplin, and then they sold me a boxed item which was not quite the same as this. It looked exactly it looked more or less the same as this with slightly different buttons on it, and it was beautifully slim, just like this, with a built-in battery in the back here, whereas this one has got quite a bulky battery pack that has to be attached to the back of the unit here. So it's a simple matter of clipping the battery in and just pushing it on the back, and then underneath here we've got a lock. So the battery is now securely fixed to the back, and it's still not a particularly bulky unit, but it's not as nice as the Mark II. The problem that I found with the Mark II unit is when I got it back home, I couldn't get the AV to work, so I took it back and I refused to buy the Mark I because it was such a bulky battery. But hey, I bought this at a silly price off of eBay, and so I'm not going to complain. It comes with a powered aerial, which when you plug it in, it picks up the power for your Freeview, a power socket or a power plug, provide you with the 12-volt DC that you require to run this or charge the battery up. Now, in the first instance, I'm going to run this with the power plugged in because I haven't charged the battery yet. Now, when you plug it in, it'll probably say like that, no input, because at this moment I've got no input from the camera and I've got no input from the aerial. So what we'll do first of all is we'll just plug the aerial in. We'll have to press this button and we have to select DVB, and then we have to press OK over here. Now that will select the digital aerial, and as you can see, the LED, you probably can just about see that. The LED on the aerial has now come on red, indicating that the aerial is active. And then you can press this and do an auto scan and set up the TV channels for your particular area. I'm not interested in that particularly. What I'm more interested in, and we'll just disconnect this. To get away from this screen, what I've got to do is to press this button here, and it gives me choices. So I've fairly quickly now got to move this with the down key, and I can scan through all of these until I get to AV, and I must press OK in this button here, and now it's looking for an AV input. Now I've searched high and low online to see if I can find copies of the manual for this Sovos 7-inch monitor, but I've not been lucky. Now that I've got an actual unit, inside the manual it clearly shows you that there is a jack which goes with the yellow cable, so we can work out absolutely that the yellow cable here is a mono cable, and the red and the white cables, the RCA cables, go to the stereo audio input. So if you go to Maplin and find yourself faced with buying a Mark II version which doesn't have the big battery pack on the back, make sure you take a look at the manual so you know what the connecting cable is that you're supposed to use for the AV input. Now the output from my camera has got a 4-way jack plug into 3 RCA type connectors. My expectations when I read the specification for the monitor is that I would be able to use the same cable to plug into the monitor, but that's not the case. What they've done in the monitor is to break up the video into a single input and the audio into another input. Now this is a spare video cable that I happen to have. I'm going to butcher this. I'm going to cut the end off, and I'm going to put a 3.5mm mono jack plug on the end. So first of all, we'll get my special video cable that I made, and we'll plug that into the appropriate socket on the side there, which is the video socket. I'm not interested in the audio, I'm only using this as a monitor. So the first thing that we're going to do is to plug in the AV to my camera, and we can turn the camera on. Now hopefully you can see there that the camera is actually looking at the Sovos. So I'm now going to connect the yellow video cables up, and lo and behold, we now have a monitor which is copying exactly what's on my video screen. Right, now one of the features that my camera's got, it has a touch screen which allows me to set the focus to any particular part of the picture. Now it's great to be able to see the picture this big, because as you can see down here, the text on this reel of solder is out of focus, whereas my finger and Sovos is in focus. Now if I touch the text on my camera screen, you'll see this text coming into focus and the Sovos going out of focus. So again, I will go back and I will refocus on the Sovos. And there we go, it's focused nicely on there. If I do need the audio at any stage, I've got a stereo plug here and a stereo pair which I can plug into here. So we have got audio on here, but I don't require the audio, I just want it as a monitor. So I shan't be using that. But it just shows you that if you do want the audio, then you just need an ordinary stereo RCA cable. So if you're looking for a nice neat little monitor for your video camera, I can only recommend this, provided you understand about the limitations of the audio video input.